If the negotiations do fail, that will be not because of the gas companies on either side, Naftogaz Ukraini and Gazprom, but because of all the surrounding and complicating political factors. So if the two companies sat down and had a commercial negotiation, they would have to sort out the transit fee, they would have to sort out the level of flexibility with the transit, because there are transit diversification projects in progress that Gazprom's been working on, Nord Stream 2, Turkish Stream and so on, which mean that over the next few years, volumes of transit through Ukraine will go down quite substantially. So previous levels of transit are just not needed. Much lower levels will be needed from probably 2021, 22, whenever these diversification projects are finished, and some sort of deal has got to be done that caters for that. The deal has also got to cater for the fact that parts of the Ukrainian transit system will be decommissioned over the next 10 years, and that's something that the people at Naftogaz Ukraini are quite anxious about. So if the two companies sit down, they could reach an agreement. The problem is that there are a lot of political things that we all know about which are happening at the same time, and I think that is obstructing an agreement being reached. I don't know, and nobody knows, because we don't know whether or not an agreement will be in place by that time. If there's not an agreement, then first of all I would expect that gas will probably stop flowing, although there are some scenarios where it will continue to flow without an agreement, but I don't think those are very likely. I think gas will stop flowing. I think that Naftogaz Ukraini will do what it did in 2009 when we had a supply interruption, which is that they'll have to turn their whole system round. Most of the consumers in Ukraine are in the central and eastern parts of the country. The big gas storages, where they've got a huge amount of gas now stored, it was 21.7 BCM a few days ago. But those storages are in the western part of the country. Normally, obviously, the flow through the system is east to west, Russia to Europe. They'll have to turn it round. They've done it before. There are areas of southern Ukraine which might experience some difficulty, but the main areas of consumption in the central and east, Naftogaz Ukraini are saying will be supplied, and that they would only run into security of supply difficulties if a dispute or a supply interruption continued right through the winter until March, which I think is very unlikely. It always helps if people go to conferences and talk to each other. I mean, obviously there's a good lineup of speakers today, with the European Commission speaking this morning about decarbonisation, which is obviously hanging over the industry and hanging over its future is absolutely number one important issue. And you've got Gazprom Export here, you've got all the important players, and I always find it useful to come to these things and listen to what people are saying, and I'm sure others do also.